In this study, I'm focusing on Zephyranthes genus. When you first hear their common names like fair lily, rainflower, zephyr lily, magic lily, and most famously rain lily, you already know that Zephyranthes carry an uncanny sense of wonder. These are names that don't just describe a plant, they invite you into a story. They whisper about weather patterns, hidden meadows, and fleeting blooms that appear after summer storms. For everyone building worlds or simply looking to enrich their visual vocabulary, Zephyrants offer both poetry and structure in equal measure. Like many bulb-forming members of the Amaryllis family, these blossoms have a clarity and elegance that makes them perfect subjects for botanical illustration. But Zephyrants in particular stand apart. Their forms are clean but expressive, delicate yet architectural, and always full of character. Their blooms seem to materialize from nowhere after rainfall, as if conjured by weather spirits. That moment of sudden appearance is not something I can capture in my drawing process, but I wanted to create a magical page of botanical illustrations, thinking about how a singular tubular bud expands into a geometric star-shaped form in just a day. As a basic introduction to these flowers, Zephyrants are small perennial bulbs native mostly to the Americas, though many are cultivated worldwide. They begin with slender grass-like leaves that often go unnoticed until the blossoms arrive. The flowers themselves resemble tiny trumpets emerging confidently from the thin foliage. Each bloom is precise, six-sepal, forming a faintly asymmetrical star, often on a short, upright space. The range of colors, white, pink, yellow, and occasionally soft peach, adds to their versatility, whether in nature or gardens or illustrations like these. But the reason they are so beloved is their rhythm with the rain. After a dry period, the first significant rainfall often triggers an entire colony to bloom at once, transforming patches of grass into enchanted star fields overnight. That ephemeral nature, here for a moment glowing and then gone, must make them irresistible subjects for sketching outdoors. You almost never get the same bloom twice, and capturing that transient beauty must be a part of the joy. However, I'm looking at mostly Wikipedia reference and drawing digitally in Photoshop in my room. But this is still a good exercise because I can do shape analysis and focus on understanding their forms. For example, we can break the flower down into three core structures: the tube, the flare, and the star. At the base, the flower forms a narrow floral tube that resembles a very slender chalice. This tube is typically a different color from the tepals, greenish near the base, shifting to the bloom color as it moves upward. In profile studies, the tube gives the plant a sense of verticality and elegance. Its slight tapering is subtle but important. It creates a visual tension that keeps the bloom feeling uplifted, never droopy or heavy. Just above the tube, the flower begins to flare outward. This is where the structure transitions from cylinder to funnel. The flare is one of the most expressive parts of the Zephyranthes anatomy. Some species open wide, creating a ball-shaped bloom that catches light beautifully. Others maintain a gentle inward curve, forming a more delicate and timid silhouette. When sketching, I pay close attention to these differences, exaggerating them slightly in rough compositions to bring out the character of each species. From the flare, the tepals open into six-pointed star, clean, geometric, and deceptively simple. This star is rarely perfectly symmetrical. One tepal may angle slightly forward, another twist backward, and the overlap between them introduces beautiful natural irregularities. These imperfections add personality. They're what make each bloom feel like a unique individual rather than an idealized diagram, though I think these flowers are also a great inspiration for creating those kinds of diagrams or symbols. Inside this star sits the bright yellow center, stamens arranged like small lantern posts around the central style. In close-up studies, these structures create a focal point of warm color and tight geometry contrasting with the softness of the surrounding petals. One of the reasons I enjoy studying flowers is how easily their forms translate into design motifs. These ones were simple enough to stylize, yet complex enough to spark ideas in architecture, fashion, and even for world building symbolism. For example, the star motifs can be used for heraldry or emblems. Their six-pointed star is gentler and more organic than the sharp rigid stars often seen in symbolic art. If you're designing a fantasy culture centered around rain, monsoons, or renewal, Zephyranthes shapes work beautifully as emblems of rebirth. The form naturally suggests emergence, something small rising toward light. For costume design, the flower can be inspiration for collar and cuff designs, for example. We can imagine colors that mimic the funnel shape or pleated cuffs that unfold like tepals. Because the form is symmetrical but soft, it can give garments an elegant and natural flow. It can also be architectural inspiration. The floral tube's upward thrust is reminiscent of column capitals. Translating the tube and flare structure into building elements can inspire lantern-like towers or window arches that resemble half-open blossoms. In a world-building context, temples or shrines dedicated to a rain deity might incorporate these rain lily-shaped lantern windows that glow at night like blooming stars. They can be a part of jewelry and decorative art because rain lilies, their blooms are small and delicate. They translate seamlessly into pendants, earrings, and hair ornaments. Their geometry works wonderfully in metalwork, while the smooth curvature of the tepals is perfect for enamel or carved stone. The funnel to star motif can even inspire fantasy creatures or characters. A rain spirit could wear a headdress shaped like a giant rain lily bloom, or a forest guardian might have markings based on the 6-point symmetry of the flower. The important thing is that the design language always circles back to the themes embodied by the plant: sudden appearance, renewal after dryness, and magic tied to weather. In this new study page, I focused primarily on the flower form from multiple angles: front-facing stars, three-quarter views that show the flare, and side profiles that capture the rhythmic rise of the tube. I also explored subtle differences among species and also tried to choose species that have a variety of colors. Working only on the flowers allowed me to fully appreciate just how sculptural these tiny blooms are. Even their shadows fall in interesting patterns, creating layered triangular shapes that make any composition more dynamic. Though I wasn't really good with the shadow part, I tried to capture the shapes of the flowers like sculptures. Every time I finish a page like this, I'm reminded how much more there is to learn, not just about the plants themselves, but about how their forms can shape the imagination. Rain lilies, with their magical names and sudden weather-tied blooms, feel especially connected to storytelling. Studying them makes me want to keep going, exploring more species, more angles, and more ways their structures can inspire creative work. And that's exactly what I plan to do: continue learning, observing, and building this growing visual library one page at a time. So, see you in the next one.